Coming up in today's show, rigging. Yes, it started. You can see how I'm getting on with the rigging and the different ways we're going to be sort of tackling it. Inspiration, keeping on the rigging theme, part 2, which sort of having a look around Hendon, looking close up of rigging, how it works, how it is, the different types. The new GRIME wash. Yes, we have a new colour wash out for sale. It's GRIME. It's a great colour for generally weathering down anything, be it armour, aircraft, vehicles, right the way through to diorama work. Really nice colour. We'll be having a good look around the forum, talking about the SIGs and the group builds, a few changes coming up on there, and how to navigate around the site. Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Flory. As you can see, we're over here today, a bit of a different news show, purely because I'm piling in with rigging and playing with all different ways of doing it. I've been testing throughout the week to seeing how different things work, using photo etch rigging, using tiny little buckles as well for Bob's buckles. Generally my own sort of workings of it. We've been looking at different ways of doing the wiring and everything else like that. One of the big things is the scale effect. Scale effect when I'm doing normal stuff. So if you were talking something like this, okay, you know, you can do quite nice buckles in different scales and things. But when you're dealing in something so sort of small and tiny, trying to get something that looks correct is very, very hard to get that sort of scale effect with it. So when I was going around and doing this one, I played a little bit for a whole day, just trying different techniques. So we were using the eye buckles, and we were using fishing line and going around doing it. I was using the photo etch part. I had a go with using piano wire, managed to get hold of some absolutely microscopic 0.15. The thing is, it was on a coil, had a natural curve to it. Didn't really like the way that was looking either. So at the end of the day, I've sort of gone around, done lots of trial and error with it, and I've come up with something else like this. Now this is going to be next week's show, and I'll show you all about this, and it's going to go in. So a little bit of how we've gone through here. What we've actually tried to do is come along and using this elasticated thread, put it all in very, very simply without using any of aftermarket parts. The reason for doing that, when I had a look at turnbuckles and rigging and everything else like it doesn't look like anything like this down here. I can understand the principles behind it of rigging it as is the real aircraft in a lot of cases, but when I was having a look around Hendon and looking at the real aircraft, things like that, it doesn't look like it. So it was just one of those things, and you know, my brain is telling me everyone's expecting me to use these aftermarket products to be able to do this and have great results and everything, and I'm thinking, but it doesn't look like it. You know, the eye loops, putting them on, whilst works great for certain areas and things, but actually attaching the line to an eye hook and then threading through, they don't look like that. So here's a little bit from inspiration this week. This is a full 10-minute video to have a look through, but I think it explains what I'm on about. Okay, so you can see what I'm sort of on about. When you look at sort of photo etch buckles and things like that, it doesn't quite look like that. And when you see it in here, you know, hopefully the camera picks up quite nicely, it works quite well. Now this is just to say the elastic thread and put straight forward onto this. It was dead simple, it went down with no problems at all, and gives us a really nice effect for actually what we're after joining them on. Now all we did with this was some lacquer silver paint actually onto the elastic, so it didn't cause any problems, and then as I say, lacquer black paints on there. The thing we're using the lacquer paints is that it flows very easily on elastic. Now when I tried it with acrylic, it bubbles up and you get lumps and bumps. So what I'm planning on doing with this particular one is going around and using a little bit of PVA glue for doing turnbuckles, things like that. Can colour them in brass using lacquer brass paints and everything else. The big thing we're testing for it, and the reason I'm slightly behind with the new show, hence it's a little bit like this, is that I was testing to see if the lacquer, one, would take the elastic would take the lacquer paints no problem at all without them shriveling up, melting, whatever. They do very, very well. They do tend to go very slack to start with. When you use it, you'll see it already next week, and I actually show it in real time, and you see it actually sag, and then as we talk it sort of straightens up again. And when you grab hold of the actual parts on here, you know, and you can come along with these and you can actually bend them quite nicely and have no problem, and they all quite nice and bouncy down here. So it's got a little bit of give in it and everything else, and I just quite like the effect of it, I like the look of it. And then obviously this afternoon after this I'm going to sort of go around putting all the rest of them in, and to be honest, now I've got the hang of it, it's really, really quick. You just pop them in, touch a super glue, pull to the other end, touch a super glue, cut, job done. And you can work your way around all the rigging really, really quickly. My only doubt is if this is going to last. You know, 5 years down the line, am I going to have to re-rig it? I don't know. I might have to, might not. If I do, I don't think it's a problem. But I'm really happy with the scale effect of it and everything else, because as I say, the trouble is with these big buckles and things like on there, is they're not quite, you know, exactly what I was looking for. You know, it was the nice look and the idea about it, but physically wrapping wires around and then putting it into brass tubes and stuff, it just doesn't sit right with me. So anyway, me being me, I've gone on to my own way of doing it, really, really enjoying it. I'm pushing through, and as you can see, we've got the tail system is going to go on here, just like so. And when you see it all on here, it's really coming together, looking very, very nice. Got to do a little bit more weathering to it when it's all together, but certainly it's had a flat coat on there now, and it's given me that right type of effect. So this week, what you're going to be covering is decaling this quite in detail and showing how to get this painted on look onto your decals, you know, with no problems at all. And you can see them on the undersides on here, and getting them to wrap over and conform and everything else like that. So I cover it quite in detail. So you basically got a half-hour part all about this, showing exactly how it goes in. And then what it does, it's a little bit shorter, it's only 26 minutes, and then I start, which will be next week's episode, showing you rigging totally start to finish. So that's the first half of it, showing you the back bit, then I'll be showing you the front part in the next part, and then really we can then just work on the engine, the wheels, and it's going to come together. Really, really still enjoying the build. Okay, well, it has been, I'm just trying to think now, over, I think it's a year or 18 months now since we've had a last release of a wash colour. Now the last colour that we actually brought out here at Flory Models was the concrete wash, which is this grey colour. It's great because it saves, if you see it probably rolling around the bottle here in here, it's got that sort of concrete look to it. It's great for doing masonry work, it's good to do dusty effects on armour and everything else. So that was the point of that one. Now we can bring out, I can reveal, is this stuff. Now this is our new grime colour. It's this type of colour, which is, when you compare it to others, so we have, let's have a bit of a shake, wake it up. Quick tip, stainless steel nuts. Pop them in, and then that way they make them easier to knock up. But you see, it's quite a red colour compared to this one. This is more of a earthy colour, and as I say, when you compare it with dark dirts, things like that, obviously it's no comparison with it. But this particular colour, and I can just show you on this little guy here. I've got a train here. We'll just move the old wings one out the way just a bit to make a bit of space. But we've got this guy here, an old friend of mine, so what I'm going to do is show you how to weather it with a brush, okay, without using an airbrush, right onto this one, and how it actually works, because it gives you that instant type of grime. Now this is neat plastic as well. We've upped the viscosity to make it a little bit thicker, so it will work on neat plastic without beading up quite as heavily as it used to do. So we've got a brush just here. What I will do though is just grab a little bit of kitchen roll. Oops. So, usual thing when you're working with anything like this, just need to, the bristles going a little bit. So, the colour itself, as you can see here, is this sort of browny colour. Actually, I'll just switch to this brush. This is a nicer brush, a little bit firm. Just pop this in some brush cleaner in a minute because it's a bit of a nasty brush. Okay, I think it has polyurethane things on it, I'm guessing. Just give them a bit of a clean up. That's more like it. Okay. Okay, so we do that there, and also it's brush cleaner, so I've got some neat water just over here, just a bit to there. Get rid of all the horribles. Now this particular colour, let me just grab a bit in here. As you can see, it's quite a browny colour. Now the idea with this particular colour of wash is that it will literally weather everything and give it that sort of dirty colour to it and grime it down really, really rapidly, and depending on how you use it will give you your griminess. So remember, usual thing, you go all over windows, you don't have to worry about anywhere. Obviously we've got electrics in here, so we just be a little bit careful. But you can see this is neat plastic, it hasn't had a flat coat or anything on here, but it'll sit on here and it takes nicely into all the grills, the vents and everything. So we're just going to go everywhere. The idea basically with the colour is to just instantly weather and to work in. So if you like, I'm not a fan of filters, I don't quite believe in them, but if you wanted to, you could call this a type of filtering, because that's what it's going to do. It'll instantly weather anything down. So we'll just go across all the gear. Keep it quite smooth just for the minute. Okay, so we'll just go down here on the front as well. But the idea with this colour is you literally just slap it absolutely everywhere. Okay, and then worry about it afterwards. Okay, and then we're on. All we're going to do is just going to drag it downwards in downward strokes. I'm just going to let it naturally sort of dry, just like this. Okay, so usual thing, been drying about, to be honest, about 10 minutes in here, very warm in here today. 20 minutes normally, make sure it's completely dry. You don't want to be doing it if it's got areas like, we just drop this top camera down, areas where it's still wet, like around here, because what this actually is, it causes clean spots because it's not quite to come off. Now, already you can probably see it's pretty grubby, as you can see just down here. Alright. What is, if you were spraying it on with an airbrush, you get a nice even coat, and we've covered it before, but because obviously you've got electrics in here and things like that, we don't want to be messing with it too much. So what we're going to do is show you how to get rid of this and turn it into nice griming. So over here I've got normal warm tepid water. Alright, clean off the brush, pretty much most of it, and then down here what we're going to do is just like a form of dry brushing, we're going to go right the way over. Okay, and just going to rub it all and flick it in. What we're trying to do is reactivate a little bit of the wash without taking too much. This technically is like dry brushing in reverse. Also, the other thing that we're doing here, we're trying to give this the effect that the actual, it's got like streaking of it coming down and pulling down. So, but what you want to do is not come in with a wet brush, because obviously you've got a wet brush, just going to take clean off. Okay, so what we do, we just come up, and then as you start to dry in, you can pull around and manoeuvre it all around a little bit more. Okay, and as you can see, it sort of changes the look of it, but we've got wash marks which are quite nice underneath here, which are quite nice and everything else. But what we want to do is give it a more sort of grimy type look to it. So, Q-tip, cotton bud, wet it just a little bit, wring it out. Okay, give it a squash, and what we're going to do, the same type of thing, we're just going to come along and we're going to rub in the vertical, up and down. Okay, just take off these little bottom runs just a little bit. because what will happen is, as we're doing this, we'll be taking away as much as we're putting on, because we're going to manoeuvre it around and make it a more dirty, sort of faded look to things as we go. And as this starts to dry, it will take less and less with it and give you this type of grimy effect that's going on here. Then you can come in with a clean cotton bud and give it a rub. Now remember, this wasn't over anything but neat plastic. It's not like it's over a flat coat. So if you didn't like it for whatever reason, remember, you can wet this, give it a rub, and then I'll show you here, we can go back to neat plastic just like that. But this way it will just give us a nice griminess. So if I stick it on its end here, so it's a little bit more my direction, we'll just take some water, okay, as I say, just a little bit. And all we're going to do is literally just going to knock it all around. So what we're trying to do is reactivate a little bit of it and manoeuvre it all around as we go. So perhaps down there we'll take a little bit more off. We'll add a little bit, moving it all around, giving us this vertical streaking that we want. Okay. Bit more around perhaps the crew access area, so we've got the grime coming down. Okay, so just grab a little bit more water, quite a bit of water on the top because we need it to sort of all react and everything else. So we're just doing left and right type of flicky motions, because what happens is we're just trying to slightly wake up the wash and to dry brush it off of certain areas, but to leave it in recesses. And remember, this is just one colour. You can come in here 1,000 times now with all different colours to make different washes. So again, up here on the cab roof, we're just gonna nice little rollovers. Okay. And as you can probably see down the front here now, it's drying. We've got this nice streaking going up and down. So we just go slightly damp cotton bud, just to blend a little bit. Okay, everywhere. And then perhaps you want to make, you know, perhaps little marks coming down. Just wet the Q-tip just down on these corners, just to make little cleaner spots. And again, clean cotton bud, blend in movements. And also, don't forget the great thing, because it's a wash, clean the windows, wet the cotton bud, and we just can clean up the windows so we don't have to worry about masking and all those things going on. We can just come in here, clean up these windows, these slight ones around here, a little dirty Deltic. Okay, you can get in here as well if you wanted to with a wetter bud. But there we go, that gives you your grimy Deltic, as you can see, really just like that, very simple. And when you compare it to, just bring this camera out a little bit, okay, the other side, that's what we started with, and that's what we got now. Really very simple. And don't forget, this is when other things come along, because you think, okay, bit of dark dirt, so we're going to pick up a little bit of dark dirt, because the chances are it's really going to be horrible down the lower edges and around gear and stuff. So we're just going to stick this very lightly down this bottom edge. This will be the dark, horrible colour, and when you mix the colours together, they'll come in really nicely. So we just tap that down these lower edges, bits over this gear. Okay, a bit going on in the tracks, perhaps at the top, obviously, because we've got grills and venting and all things up here. So we're just going to pop some up randomly, brush off. Same on these. Okay, more sort of streaking across the roof, as we did before. Okay, and as you can see, these lower ones are drying already. Okay, back in with our water. Hopefully this won't take very long to dry at all. But being clay, because obviously the more layers you have down, the quicker it dries, the quicker everything comes together. So what we're going to do is just going to smear these a little bit together, these dark and lights. And you can use the effect like we've got down here of these, where the wash we've put on the lower half, to actually make little clean spots and things. But by doing the up and down, because this is very up and downy, we can have one looking slightly dirtier, one looking cleaner. Okay, you can probably see on the top here. So we'll just keep this smearing so it looks like it's obviously smoke with speed. Okay, and I don't know, a bit more around the bottom here perhaps required. But at any point you can just come in with anything at all. We just have a few little streaks now working around. Just remember weathering it, it's three-dimensional. You've got it going on, you've got it running down, you've got wind, okay? And that's the secret. So, you know, you think we started off with a beautifully clean train here, and now we're trying to make it look worn and grubby, and all we've used is 2 washes, and if we don't like it, we'll just wipe off and start again. But I'm just trying to speed this up a bit now so you guys can see it. Okay, on these front ends, I'll leave the roof like that. And there we go, hopefully you can see that. If we just drop this top camera down, you can get a real good look at it. So this is the effect we've gone for. We've tried to dull it right down. We've got different colours going down here because we've got the darker wash down the bottom, obviously with the gear, with the bow gear, but it's just going to flatten it all down. Down the back here, obviously we haven't done it quite as much, but we're just trying to make it look grimy and horrible. And you can see on the roof, to be honest, a lot of this is still wet, but it gives you that effect really very nicely. And it's just one of those things. If you don't like it, wash off and start again. But when you compare it to the other side, you just say, here we are, we've got our really nasty, weathered in, very much in scale, I call it loco, compared with the other side. Obviously you can see the top, but that's the difference. And that took us, what, just a couple of minutes? And as ever, don't forget, if we don't like it, we just wet a cloth. Alright, if you didn't like what you've got, you're just going to come along, clean cloth, all those areas, wipe away and just start again. And that's the beauty with this one. If you didn't like it, just take it back, there you go, you're back to plastic, same thing again, clean up your windows with just a damp bud, and your train is absolutely fine, just back to normal, or just keep it all weathered up, whichever you want it, it's totally up to you. So there you go, the grime wash. Hopefully you can see it there, like that's on a blue, so it's one of those things, it's quite a start, but you know, hopefully you can see it here. It's one of those colours which is, it acts like a filter, because whatever you put it on, it will instantly age it. And that's what we wanted. You know, you think, perhaps you wouldn't use this something like a modern fighter, you might want it just panel line washes, so obviously you've got your dark dirts, you've got your blacks and everything else. But I've been testing this last week when we were, you know, I had the first batch in last week, and to be honest, I wanted to be released last week, but it wasn't quite, we didn't have enough in stock, shall we say. So what I've done is that I did a lot of testing with other colour washes and things like that, and by blending it and making it. But as you can probably see, it just gives it a neutral, dead finish to everything, and it works great on armour, it works great on dioramas. I personally think between this, the black, and probably, you know, one of the lighter colours, like the light wash or the concrete or something else like that, you could make any type of grimy dirtiness you want. Obviously the dark dirt's got that grey because it's got the more oily colour, and I tend to like to use it for like areas down here. But really, quite a fan of this one, and if you're into armour, vehicles, trains, diorama stuff, I think grime will be your primary colour from now on, because it instantly weathers everything, you know. And then after that, obviously you've got your blacks which you can add to it, because don't forget the washes, you can mix them all together, you can lighten it. We've got, I'm just trying to think what we haven't got here. Sand. I've got the full range out of shot, but you know, now basically the good old days, we used to have the light and the dark dirt wash. Okay, then we came along and we added the black to the mix, and then we had the rust, then we had the mud brown. Okay, we've got the sand, and now we've got the grime. So really happy. It's 8 colours totally in the range with the concrete as well. Okay, so anytime you can mix them together. There is a package now available on the site which now does bring in the extra colour, the grime, so you can have that as part of a set as well, or you can buy them individually. So there we go, grime. Okay, hello, welcome to Flory Models. Just going to talk you through just subscribing, so a few of you are still getting a little bit lost on the way in. So basically, you've been to the site, you come and see the news shows which are in here, and all the bits and pieces, and you think, okay, you want to sign up. So basically, over to here, subscribe here. Okay, usual blurb, just all about it. The list of terms and conditions are all down here. You've got 2 options. Okay, you can either come in for a month at £2.99, or it's £32 a year. Obviously the exchange rate changes a little bit around the world. These are all in Great British pounds. You'll click whichever one you want, okay, and then what will happen is you'll be taken to a subscription page. Okay, and that'll take you straight to PayPal, and you should end up with a screen like this. So it'll either say monthly subscription payment, or it'll say yearly. Okay, if it's yearly, what happens is it will take it on the date you took it in 12 months time. So if you took it out today, it would do you obviously on the 19th of April 2014. It'll take another payment. Now if you're monthly, it will then continue to take your payments every single month on today's date. So it's say it's the 19th today, then next month on the 19th it will subscribe you again for £2.99, and so forth and so on. If you want to cancel at any point, just go back to our subscription area and you just click buy down on there. So by clicking there, it will unsubscribe you from Flory Models, and away you go. Okay, so there's no problem with being tied into the account forevermore. As soon as you do click that though, you will lose your account. There's a couple of things that will come up and warn you about losing data and all your photos and subscription and everything else, but as soon as you click that, you will be removed, and all your posts will be removed from the site itself. Okay, but anyway, back to here. So this is yearly. All you do, put in your email address for your PayPal account and your password, okay, and then what happens is you'll go, and it should take you directly back to the page we'll see in a moment. If it doesn't for any reason, shoot me a PM or an email, or literally within half an hour normally you'll be sent a follow-on link which will take you to, looks like this. Now basically this is just the thing. So you put your PayPal account holder's name. Now this is the person who is on the name of your PayPal account. Okay, so assuming it's not yourself but somebody else, okay, perhaps it's another family member, put their name in there. It's just so the system knows who the PayPal address is to, if you like. So that way, if there's a problem, it can contact them, and away you go. You put your full name in here in one word. So, you know, for example, it's Philip Flory, but let's say your name is Joe Bloggs. Don't put a space in between Joe and obviously Bloggs. In my case, where we've got Philip Flory, you would just come along and put in Flory. You don't have to worry about, you know, a space, because it doesn't allow for spaces. When you get to the forum and things like that, it obviously will do. Pop down your email address, your passwords and everything else, you'll submit, and away you go. It's as simple as that, no problems at all. As soon as you click into that and you submit, you are now fully into the site. You'll get an email from me a little bit later on. Once you've logged in and you've done it, you'll be taken back to here. It might even take you back to home, can't remember what it is now. But what happened is now you'll get full access to all these videos. So if you want to come in and have a look at the videos, you'll just go on to them and you'll just click in, okay, and your videos will all be in there, and you can just come along, give them a second to load in. If you're in a particular slow connection area like we are here, obviously then they'll come through, and you can watch all the videos that are in there. The tutorial section, which obviously we're pushing through, you've got airbrushing. This is exactly the same as on the DVD. It's all in there, plus all the older ones as well, okay. And then basic modeling, we've got all the tutorials which run down here, which a few of you have been getting lost about what's where and everything else. Apologies, terribly slow collection, but anyway, here we go, coming through. So we've got some of the old favourites which I did, which, you know, obviously I was a lot thinner then and younger. Okay, but as you work your way down, there's various ones that will come up about it, working with resin cockpit, doing clear parts, taking out seam lines, rescribing, some very old ones there from back in about 1997. Okay, but as you say, all worthwhile having a quick look at. Obviously we've got these new ones coming in talking about rescribing and things like that. So this is the full one that you might have seen recently. So it talks about obviously the actual rescribing, just goes down in there and you can watch that one. There's another one down which I believe is our Mr. Jellyman, he helped us out with, as well as you got useful links. So it's saying have a look at this particular video build because in here we have lots of scribing, so it crosses over and things like that. Remember, you've got members offers and all the areas down in here, members videos, things like that. We've got the links section and a little bit with horrible photos of myself and the team. Okay, all down here is our Hans and everything else. So as you say, you can work your way through it, it's no problem at all. Now, assuming you want to go over to the forum, basically you'll just click over here to go to the forum. Alright, it'll bring you into here. Now obviously you're not registered. Now if you've read the welcome pack, it tells you all about this as well, but you'll need to register now. So you actually register for your new account, pop down the same username as what you used for the main site. It doesn't have to be the same password, it doesn't even have to be the same email, but it certainly has to be the same username, because what happens is then this bit here will tally up with the other main site and the payment system, and it just okays everything and lets you in straight away. But you can put a space between your names. So if you wanted to, you can have in here Phil Flory, and you can have it without the O. You can have it just like that, okay, with a space in there. Bit complicated. If you just don't have a space. You don't have to. Anyway, once you are in, it will look something like this. Okay, so you don't want to do that. And this brings you into the site. So obviously, quick rundown, we've got in here obviously the forum area, the TV shows that you see, all these shows that we do here, so they're spoken about every single one, pages and pages and pages of them, every single week. And then you might find that there's some extra bits of info and things like that down in these. And obviously the guys talk about it down in here as well. So really, it's up to you. New posts over here, probably your most useful button. A lot of people guys will use this. And it'll pop up here, and this is the last time I was in, it was all in here talking about it here. So obviously talking about the new Tamiya things going on, and the guys have nicely linked into the magazine, as we all knew really. It was probably the worst kept secret in Tamiya's history. We've got the actual Corsair and the details on it out there. So anyway, that's basically how the forum all works and everything else. Remember, you can have your own little portfolios in here that the guys do. Gallery, obviously it's your work. When you've completed it, you can pop it in here. Various chat items, best kits, and then obviously we've got all our help type centres. So we've got things, all the tutorials, we've got all the paints, everything else like that. We've got the aircraft work in progress, the armour, and then obviously we've got maritime vehicles, group builds and everything, which we're about to talk about in a moment. And then we've got the research areas, and as well as all the group builds themselves. So certain things we've got going on at the moment we'll have to talk about. The ones that we've got ongoing, currently we've got the Whirlyberg one, that's going to finish on the 28th of April, okay, so that's the ones in there. We've got buddy builds at the moment. Stefan, which I will be bringing you next week, is his totally amazing Bismarck, which we'll just have a quick look in here, and just to see where he's to. Okay, let's just have a look. Hope he's got a picture on this page. No, let's just go back one, because if you haven't seen Stefan's build, you really should. As you can see, he's absolutely doing a stunning job on this one. It is an amazing job he's doing on there. I say, always the way, when you look for a picture to show, you can never find one. But as you can see, he's really going to town on it, working his way through. Lovely deck work and everything else. But obviously, as I say, I'll be bringing you full details on this one next week, because Stefan's kindly allowed us to put this out on the main site. So even if you're not a member, you will be able to see all of this. But as you can see, showing how he did all of that, making it absolutely fantastic, and actually fully making his own SWAT sticker on there, which is a beautiful job. Look at that, absolutely stunning. So there we go. If you haven't seen his build, it's well worth having a look. Now the big news is, and half the reason we're in here, everybody who's in the forum, is me and Hans, and I know a lot of you have been speaking recently about the release schedule for everything that's going on and how it is a little bit tight at the moment. So without further ado, this is how it's actually going to look now. Okay, so the group build schedule was, to be honest, a little bit tight, and as you can see it in here, is absolutely horrendous. Not only for this team trying to keep up with everything, but you guys building it especially just were having no time to get forward and complete. So, going through it all, we've managed to come up with something that looks like this. Sorry, it's slightly cut off, okay? Now, basically what this actually means though, it's been pulled right apart and lengthened a little bit in time as well. So, to start with, Marcus is doing the SIG for 1950s carriers and beyond aircraft, okay? Going to start on the 27th of July, it's going to finish on the 17th of November. Steve's doing the, and Bob Bailey doing the modern armour SIG, that's going to start on the 3rd of August, going to finish on the 24th of November. Then we're going to have a bit of a gap running through, as you say, so they're not so tight now. So Jonas is doing the 23rd of November to the 16th of March for the FW190, okay? The Hunt, obviously, and all the ones running on from that, obviously we're talking now into 2014. But what this hopefully will allow us to do, one is I can build in the SIGs and group builds again, because I have the time to do it. And secondly is that obviously you guys have a lot more time to finish all your builds, to work through, and it just makes us a more gentle and a relaxed pace. Now don't forget, if you don't want to do any of these or take part, you by all means, you're more than free to actually build them as part of normal builds, or as buddy builds and things like that. But certainly guys who are in the actual the ones down here at the moment, which are your normal sort of armour in progress, normal figures, aircraft ones, are sort of being overlooked a bit because they're not in the SIG. So by spreading it all out, everybody gets a bit more of a look in, and hopefully everybody will have a little bit more time to go through it. So that's about it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show and everything else like that. Until next week, everybody, happy modelling and take care.